Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're tackling a really wild idea. What if AI could actually pay every single person on Earth a basic income?
Yeah, I know. It sounds like total science fiction, right? But believe it or not, this whole thing is actually inspired by a true story about a tiny island that accidentally hit the digital jackpot.
So our story kicks off on this little Caribbean island called Anguilla. We're talking a population of just 16,000 people. So just by pure luck, Anguilla's country code domain is, you guessed it, .ai. Now this little two-letter tag, which was handed out decades ago, suddenly became one of the most valuable pieces of digital real estate on the entire planet, all thanks to the AI boom. And I mean, you can see what happened next. AI startups were falling all over themselves to get a cool web address, and Anguilla's revenue from these domains just exploded. It's gotten so big, it's expected to make up almost half of the entire government's budget by 2025. That's insane. Okay, so what does that mean for the people who live there? Well, it breaks down to over $2,000 per person going straight into public services. Think healthcare, new roads, paying off debt. And this is the key takeaway, right? It proves that digital stuff, bits and bytes, can fund real physical things. We're talking about a domain name literally paving roads and building hospitals. Wild.
Okay, so that leads to a really fascinating question. If this works for a tiny island, what if we could take that same idea and scale it up, way up, to the entire planet?
And this is where we take the big conceptual leap. There's this proposal called Project IA.xyz, and it shifts the whole game. Instead of focusing on humans buying domains, it targets a whole new kind of digital citizen. And the goal? It's not just to fund a small island, but to provide a universal dividend for all 8 billion of us.
You see, this new model isn't designed for a few people buying websites. Oh no. It's designed for the billions and eventually trillions of autonomous AI agents that are about to flood the internet. You got to think of them like an army of digital workers just cranking away 24/7, making decisions and creating value without any human needing to be there.
So, how would it work? The plan is actually pretty straightforward, just 4 main steps. First, you create a new domain, .ai for intelligent agent. Then, and this is key, you make it a mandatory digital ID for any AI that wants to do business online. Step 3, charge a tiny little fee for this ID. We're talking just $1 a year. And the final step? All that revenue gets distributed directly to every single human on Earth as a universal basic income.
All right, get ready, because this is where the numbers start to get a little mind-bending. And it's all powered by one core principle that makes the digital world so different from the physical one. It's this idea that bits really do multiply faster than atoms. Think about it. We humans are limited by, biology. It takes a while to make more of us. But software? Software agents can copy themselves exponentially. One can become 1,000, which can become 1,000,000 practically overnight. And that exponential growth is the engine that drives this whole proposal.
So let's look at how this could actually play out over time. If we assume a 10x growth in these agents every year, each paying that little $1 fee, well, the first few years, honestly, you get basically nothing. It's pennies. But then, that classic power of exponential growth kicks in, and the curve just goes vertical. All of a sudden, the road to a global living wage starts to look surprisingly short.
So, flash forward to 2031. At this point, we've hit 1 trillion agents online. The system could be generating about $125 a year for every single person. Now, that might not sound like a ton, but in many parts of the world, that's a really meaningful monthly supplement.
But here's where it gets crazy. Just 1 year later, thanks to that 10x growth, the agent population jumps to 10 trillion. And that UBI payment, it jumps to $1,250 a year. Now we're talking. That's officially crossing the threshold for what many would consider a basic universal income.
And then, by 2033, again, just one more 10x jump, we hit an unbelievable $12,500 per year. For every man, woman, and child on the planet. That's over $1,000 a month, a true living wage, all funded by a simple $1 tax on software agents. It's pretty staggering when you think about it.
Okay, but before we all start planning our retirement, there's a catch. A big one. This beautiful digital utopia runs smack into a hard physical wall.
We have to remember, right? All these bits might feel virtual, but they don't live in the cloud. They live on physical servers in massive data centers. And those servers have very real physical needs. They need staggering amounts of energy to run, water to cool down, And of course, the specialized computer chips to be built in the first place.
And the single biggest hurdle, by far, is energy. I mean, look at this gap. To power those 100 trillion agents we need for our 2033 target, we would need more than 12 times the entire world's current electricity production. Let me say that again. 12 times everything we produce now. That's not a small problem. That's a monumental, species-level challenge.
So what this really means is that hitting that 2033 target isn't just a software problem. It's a hardcore physics and engineering problem. We need a massive breakthrough, something like nuclear fusion finally working, or making AI 1,000 times more efficient. The whole dream of this digital dividend is fundamentally tied to our ability to power it here in the real physical world.
So, where does that leave us? Well, look, this whole thing probably isn't a firm prediction of what's going to happen. It's better to think of it as a blueprint, a really thought-provoking blueprint for a different kind of future, one where we actually figure out how to tie AI's explosive growth directly to human prosperity.
The core idea here is all about creating a new layer of governance for AI. I love this analogy they use. It's like building a digital Panama Canal. For any AI agent to get from its isolated data center out into the big, wide global economy, it has to pass through this one single choke point. And to pass through, it has to pay a tiny little toll, that $1 fee that benefits every single one of us.
And what's so clever about this is that it connects two of the biggest challenges we face with AI. There's technical alignment, making sure AI is safe, and there's economic alignment, making sure its massive wealth gets shared. By baking this UBI dividend right into the basic identity protocol for an AI, you automatically tie its existence to our well-being. It's economic alignment enforced by code.
Which leaves us with a really provocative final question, doesn't it? On one hand, we have this incredible model where exponential digital growth, the world of bits, could literally fund a post-scarcity future for all of us. But on the other hand, it's completely chained to the hard limits of our finite physical world, the world of atoms. So the big question is, can we solve the problems of the atoms fast enough to keep up with the incredible promise of the bits?